When are we starting the show? Okay.
Healthcare to residents of Western New York, offering patients the most sophisticated medical advancements while keeping the ease and familiarity of a community hospital. Support for Chautauqua Sunrise has been provided by WRFA 107.9 FM, Jamestown's public radio station, streaming online 24/7 at WRFALP.com. Low power to the people. Chautauqua Sunrise is made possible by a grant from Fredonia Place, a continuing care retirement community providing dignity in a modern luxury environment. Meter's Restaurant, a family tradition for over 50 years in downtown Ripley, is a proud supporter of Chautauqua Sunrise. Meter's provides all-day dining, banquet services, and custom catering, specializing in pie. Funding for Chautauqua Sunrise is provided in part by the Chautauqua County Industrial Development Agency, with offices in Jamestown and Dunkirk, helping businesses to prosper throughout Chautauqua County. From supporting people with disabilities to enjoy great lives, to providing health care services that are available to anyone, the Resource Center has been improving our county for more than 60 years. Learn more about how the Resource Center makes a positive difference in people's lives. From the Access Chautauqua Studios in Mayville, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Chautauqua. We are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week from 9 to 10 a.m. Send events via email or call us live. Check us out on YouTube and Facebook. And now, from the Access Chautauqua Studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
Hey everybody, happy Saturday. Well, it's raining, so it must be Saturday, right? Justin, how many Saturdays in a row has it been that it's been raining? At least 6 or 7, right?
Raining or snowing.
Rain or snow. Gosh. When are we going to get a nice Saturday, for goodness sakes? All right, well, I'm so glad y'all could join us, and welcome wherever you are in the world. So let's start out with good morning to all my viewers that are watching the show live here on Channel 1301 Spectrum. For those of you, good morning, that are watching me streaming around the world. It could be good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. It just depends on where you are, right? So glad you could join us. And good afternoon to all my listeners on WRFA 107.9, Low Power to the People in Jamestown, New York. Thanks for joining us Tuesdays at 1 o'clock. I've framed this show today as the highly anticipated return of James McQuiston, theorist and author for the Oak Island Mystery. So please, I hope you stay tuned, because Jim and I are going to delve into some deeper discussions on what his research has been bringing forth, and some discussions about what's been going on the island. So I think you're going to have a really great time if you're an Okie, as they call it. It's really become kind of a cult following around the world, I see. Lots of people post on Facebook and that. So this is going to be a fun show, so stick around. Okay. As always, if you do have a question, and for those of you that are interested in the Curse of Oak Island and the research behind that and the storyline and treasure and all that sort of thing, give us a call at 716-753-5225. All right? Remember, we're only here on Saturday morning, so if you're watching this later in the week, don't call us, because we won't be here. But you could always email us at chautauquasunrise@gmail.com, and we'll get back to you if you have a question. So if you have a question for myself, a comment, question for Jim McQuiston, whatever, give us a call. Love to hear from you, all right? If you have a club or organization that has an event that you want to promote and share, it's free of charge. We're happy to tell folks what's going on in your communities, whether it's a chicken barbecue or a fundraiser or just whatever. Wish somebody happy birthday, give us a call. Okay? All right. So we're going to go through some community events here that are coming up, and I think will be of interest to you. So let's start out right off the bat. Okay, our friends over in Infinity, and they're going to be on next week, by the way, so stay tuned next week as well. Infinity Visual and Performing Arts, Inc. is bringing Chautauqua County a group of fun outdoor themed classes and adventures in April and May. Infinity's Pearl City Playhouse will be hosting 4 nature-inspired classes to celebrate Earth Day and Arbor Day. Classes include watercolor landscape class on Saturday, April 23, which is today, with local artist Leslie Calamari. Leslie will guide you through steps to create a tree-filled landscape as you learn the basic techniques. That's happening right now. Moving ahead later today, felted bonsai trees with Debbie Penley. She's going to create a bonsai tree and doesn't require a green thumb while learning the basics of needle felting. $45 from 1 to 4 today. Okay, this is next week. Vellum Leaves with local artist Wendy Bale, Friday, April 29. In this fun beginner level class, you will learn the basics of paper sculpture using vellum and other specialty papers to personalize your work while creating colorful paper leaves. $35. That's from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Jamestown Oaks Coptic Book on Saturday, April 30th with Pearl City Clay House Program Director Deb Eck. Learn how to make a traditional, elegant Coptic sewn Coptic sewn binding featuring tree cookies taken from the 3rd Street oak trees and decorative papers made by Deb from plants collected on Jamestown's Riverwalk. That's a $75 program from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. I've never heard of that one. That sounds interesting. Okay, if you're interested, just go to their website, Pearl City Clay House. That's all one word, pearlcityclayhouse.org, and you can sign up for all that sort of thing. Okay, and additionally, they're going to have their Ultimate Adventure Challenge beginning May 1st, and that's going to be running through October 1. It's a summer-long outdoor adventure, combines beautiful local art, aspects of popular hiking challenges with a fun, family-friendly scavenger hunt twist. Okay, it ranges between $10 and $50 depending on what option you pick. So check them out at Infinity. As always, they are presenting lots of fun family activities that I think you'll enjoy. All right, let's move on. We talked about this before, and this is coming up April 30th, next Saturday, National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day. All right. So that's next Saturday, April 30th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And you can go to the following places. Old 5-Star Bank at 284 East Fairmount Avenue in Lakewood. Westfield Family Physicians, 138 East Main Street in Westfield. All-Star Ambulance, 738 Monroe Street in Dunkirk, New York. It's free, it's anonymous, no questions asked, but no liquids and sharps, including needles, will be accepted. If you have any questions about having leftover drugs that you want to get rid of, give them a call at 366-4623. Or you can go to PreventionWorks, all one word, .us. So get rid of those old drugs, including pet drugs. I found some of my old Max pills that I got to get rid of, okay? Don't flush them down the toilet. Don't throw them in the garbage. Take them over to one of those sites and get rid of them safely. All right, moving along. Trails Grant. Trail stakeholders. We've got trails all over Chautauqua County. You may not know that, for walking and hiking and all that good stuff. Trail stakeholders across Chautauqua County have been working to foster collaboration and bring much needed funding to Chautauqua's recreational trails. The Chautauqua Region Economic Development Corporation was recently awarded $25,000 from the Ralph C. Sheldon Foundation to explore the feasibility of establishing a Friends of Chautauqua County Greenways group. The effort will bring together various trails, organizations, and determine how best they can work together as friends to provide mutual support and seek funding together. In 2012, the Chautauqua County Department of Planning and Economic Development released a comprehensive greenway plan which identified areas for ecotourism, private-public partnerships, natural recreational greenway opportunities, and projects to expand greenway development within the county. While some of the planned projects have been completed, there has been a renewed interest in completing other projects identified in the plan, and many stakeholders within the county are beginning to understand the importance of outdoor recreation and ecotourism. And finally, from that project, Mark Geis, who's been on the show from the IDA, says the following: I'm thrilled that there is renewed interest in implementing projects and initiatives recommended in the Greenway Plan that we worked so hard on more than 10 years ago, and that it's happening organically. Okay, so that's coming up. So I think during the pandemic, we realized how important it was to have places to go stretch, to walk, to just enjoy nature, and it's a good thing. So glad to hear that. All right, let's go to the movies. You with me? Okay, here we go. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, and The Automat to show at the Reg Lene. Directed by Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, collectively known as Daniels, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once will be shown Wednesday, April 27 at 7 p.m. It's a hilarious and big-hearted sci-fi action adventure about an exhausted Chinese-American woman who can't seem to finish her taxes. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once is rated R and is 140 minutes long. Sounds like fun. Featuring an original new song written and performed by Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks? I didn't know he wrote stuff. The Automat is going to be shown April 30th at 8 p.m. Tells the 100-year-old story of the iconic restaurant chain Horn and Hardart. I guess that's how you say it, Hardart. The inspiration for Starbucks, where generations of Americans ate and drank coffee together at communal tables. From the perspective of former customers, entertainer Mel Brooks, Starbucks founder Howard Schultz, Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Secretary of State Colin Powell, the Horns, the Hardarts, and key employees, we watch a business climb to peak success and then grapple with fast food in a forever changed America. The Automat is unrated and is 99 minutes long. Woo, that was a mouthful. All right, tickets are generally $7, unless it's a family film, they're $6, and they throw a $1 theater restoration fee on to keep the theater up and running and looking great. You can purchase tickets from 12 to 5 p.m. on Mondays and Fridays and 12 to 8 on Wednesdays, or give them a call at 484-7070. All right, and nope, I guess I got one more. Hold on, flip the page. Here we go. Okay, this is a real quick announcement, kind of like mark your calendar. Coming up on Saturday, March 7th this year, there's going to be a Mason. What did I say? Imagine me saying the wrong one. On May 7th, okay, the Hope Chautauqua Coalition has a limited number of free registrations to give away to community members to participate in their upcoming Run for Hope 5K. This is due to the generous donations and sponsorships they've received from businesses and organizations. And they wanted to give everyone a chance to take part in the first ever in-person Run for Hope 5K. They encourage everyone of all ages to sign up. Families are welcome. However, please submit a separate form for each family member. So in order to do this, let's see here. You contact them at, wow, hang on a minute, I'll find it. Way at the bottom. Oh, that's where it's chicken barbecue. Sometimes it's kind of hard to find it. Oh, through the Resource Center. Okay, so contact the Resource Center, and they'll provide things. So there's different categories and just different winners. First, second, and third place winners. They're going to give away Amazon gift cards and so forth, and they're going to have a chicken barbecue as well for $12, And boy, this is a little tricky to read. Anyways, contact the Resource Center and I'll get you all signed up. Okay, so that's May 7th. Run called, the Hope Chautauqua Coalition, okay? Run for Hope 5K. This is probably for newspapers, and I got to read it like we're doing this live here. So anyways, Chicken Barbecue, a run for 5K, and that's being sponsored by the Resource Center. Sounds good. Okay, and finally, rabies clinic coming up. Chautauqua County Department of Health and Human Services Division of Public Health has announced a free rabies vaccination clinic, which will be held May 5 from 4 to 6 at the Town of Pomfret Highway Barns. Over on Chautauqua Road in Fredonia, the clinic will be a drive-in clinic, and animals must be pre-registered to receive vaccinations. Vaccinations will be provided free of charge to all dogs, cats, and domesticated ferrets. I didn't know they got shots. 3 months of age and older. The Town of Pomfret, along with Chautauqua County Division of Public Health, will sponsor the event. Dr. Kate Ball will be the attending veterinarian. Okay, if you're interested, this is a funny one now. I'm going to do the best I can. To go online, you got to go on.ny.gov/3NTXE14. Or give them a call at 753-4567. Ooh, I like that number. 753-4567. And folks, if you haven't had your pets vaccinated, please do. It's only fair to them and to all of us as well, okay? So they live long and healthy lives. And real quick, the Ripley Library is having a white elephant Chinese auction that's started and it's going on right now. They're having Friday night movies on April 29th. You can bring your blankies and jammies and snacks and all that sort of thing. And then there's a vendor craft fair on April 30th. That's going to be right there at the library in Plansale. So that's coming up. All right. Whew, that was work. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
Folks, we're back. I'm still Doc Hamels, and you're watching Chautauqua Sunrise. And it's my pleasure to welcome back to the show. I call him my international TV personality because he's been on worldwide TV because he's been associated with the Curse of Oak Island. And Jim McQuiston, welcome back.
Great to be here.
All right. Jim, you've written a lot of books. How many books have you written now on this topic?
Actually, I'm up to my 8th book.
You told me 2 books ago that you were done.
Yeah. I always think I'm done, every book. And actually, this last one that you helped me with, I was sure I was done.
Yeah.
What happened was Rick Ladina, he doesn't write very many emails. I've talked to him a number of times on the phone and, of course, in person on the island. But around Christmas of 2019, I guess, I lose track of the years.
I know.
Now.
Well, you're always.
But he wrote and said that thanked me for all the work I was doing, and said what we really need to figure out how X marks the spot.
X meaning
where the treasure.
Just tell them where it is. That's all you got to do, Jim.
If I knew. So I got to thinking about that, and I thought, well, I'm not on the island every day. I've been there about maybe on 12 different days, and to just rehash what 10 or 20 other people have already written in books about the history, the more recent history of the island, really gets us nowhere. So I thought, well, there's one item that did mark the spot, and it was the 90-foot stone that was found at the bottom of the money pit at 90 foot. And I thought, well, what if that actually tells us more than what we thought it did? So I thought, well, that's going to be my focus. And when I start looking into something, I don't necessarily look into it with the idea I'm going to write a book about it. I'm just wanting to help them out with research, and I've sent them many things that never made it into my book or on the show or even in the war room.
Mm-hmm.
But so I started looking into it, and I wanted to convince myself, first of all, that the stone was real. And it was found in 1804, face down in the money pit at around 90 foot. Now, there's been other records that say one said 60-some feet, one said 80, one said 83,
Mm-hmm.
pretty specific. But typically they call it the 90-foot stone. And and it's always been thought of as directions on how to dig up the treasure. And I thought, well, how silly is that you would put it 90 foot down, face down in the mud, to give directions to anybody, because who would know to dig 90 foot to even find it?
Yeah,
So
it's sort of like you are here.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
well, thank you.
So I figured it has to be something different than directions to dig up the money pit. And so I started looking into other buried stones and actually buried pieces of metal that were etched. And I found that there was this phenomenon that I never had heard about before, but they're generally called curse stones. And they can quite often call on holy beings or a goddess or God or whatever as their opening line to the stone. And they were generally either to literally curse somebody, or to protect property.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that tries to take over our property, may he be cursed. Or actually to protect individual items. Sometimes they were to curse somebody for stealing somebody's girlfriend. There's a variety of reasons, but there's been about 1,600 of these found, mostly in ancient cultures like Greece and Rome and the British Isles and in Egypt. And actually the latest one found, it's also the oldest one found, from I think 3200 BC. And it was found in the West Bank area between Jordan and Israel. And in fact, it starts out, it took them 2 years, it was found in 2019, and they just in March of this year finally got it translated. And it wasn't just a single person like me trying to translate it, it was at a university with people who studied language. And it actually, the first words on it are cursed, cursed, cursed by God, Yahweh, which is the
Yahweh.
Jewish Hebrew word for God. And then it went on, the curse went on. So I found that some of these other curse tablets, also called, one was for a charioteer at the games, and he started out, I call on holy beings and holy names.
Mm-hmm.
And so I realized that the phenomenon of burying these tablets was real, and a good chunk of them anyway began with a supplication to God.
Mm-hmm.
So before I even found this code I'm going to tell you about, I already had discovered that phenomenon. So I kind of just had that gelling in my brain about cursed tablets in general, and I was studying that aspect of it when I sort of accidentally, which happens to me all the time, accidentally tripped upon a code. It was created by a pretty famous person. I don't want to spill all the beans right now, but it was created by a pretty famous person, and it's so famous that even though it was created 450 years ago, it still shows up on code writing websites today as an example.
Okay, all right, so let's talk about what is a code. I mean, what is it? I mean, Morse code? Is that what we're talking about here?
Well, when this stone was found, it had symbols on it,
Mm-hmm.
and the attempts originally, most of the attempts have been to translate each symbol as a letter.
Oh, okay.
what I found out is that through history, symbols have actually meant words or ideas.
Well, hieroglyphics, the Egyptians, they didn't
Hieroglyphics,
have that, right?
and even if you go, well, from cave drawings all the way up to the emojis on our phone, they say a picture's worth 1,000 words. Well, a graphic is worth probably 850. You know, it's you know, you can get a whole idea out of a symbol. So this code was written that way. The symbols that were in this codex sheet translated to full words, and in some cases, people's names.
So let's make something up here. So let's just say there's an X. So in this code, that X means boy or tree or whatever.
And in this code, it meant not.
Oh, I just made
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So, but in another code, somebody else's code, like, you know, we all had little, probably in school we made up codes of some sort, I guess. So that could have been "I like you"
Right.
or my name, or so it just depends on who writes the code, right? There's hundreds of codes they use in World War I and II and that, right?
And they meant bigger things than just the letters. So the difference with my code, first of all, is that I believe it was something besides how to dig up the money pit. I believe it was a stone put in there to make a supplication to God to protect the treasure and the people involved with the treasure. And I think that the symbols translated as words, and they absolutely do translate as words using this code I found, because
So in your book you talk about this?
Yes, and every single symbol on the stone is included in the codex that was created by this person 450 years ago. Every single one, except one.
Except one?
And that is a 3-dotted triangle. And so it took me a long time to figure out what that was, and along the way as I was finding out about it, you verified some of it for me. It originally meant the Scottish Master of Masons, the leader of the Masons. It has now devolved, or I don't know what word you want to use there, into Master Mason.
Right. And this is where I mentioned before the show that this is information that I shared with you that I first found on the internet, that I could say, because, and for those that are watching right now, those are Masons or Shriners, that we have a certain code of ethics that we don't share certain things, but this was public information I shared with you, right?
Right, and I actually went further and found many websites that showed that 3-dot triangle as the code for Master Mason.
So what you're saying is somebody used this code and then used this symbol from the Masonic group?
Yes, and if you, I have a slide here that shows the actual code from the stone, if you want to.
Okay, is that number one?
Number one, yeah.
Okay, so let's bring that up and we can speak to that. All right, so there's 3 different things I'm looking at here: top, second, middle, and bottom. There.
So the stone, there's quite a bit of verification that the stone was real. It was found in 1804. Well, in 1804, there were no newspapers in Nova Scotia, and there was no photography for decades. But when they did finally put it in the newspaper, it was written by a man named Jotham Macaulay, who wrote quite an article on the whole dig process. And then a couple of years later, another newspaper wrote about the stone and said that it was there right now to look at in John Smith's home. Now, John Smith was one of the 3 original diggers of the money pit. And so the point of that is that if you're going to put it in a newspaper that it's there right now, don't you think a bunch of people are going to want to go and see it? You know, and so if they went there and it wasn't there, there'd probably be another letter to the editor saying, wait a minute, that was not true. What you wrote, it's not there. And the story is that thousands of people went to John Smith's home, so much so that he created a little tea room there, because that was when temperance movement was first getting going, and he created a little tea room there. And there was another tea room on Oak Island too. They know that for a fact. So people would go there and look at the stone, try to figure it out. He had it mounted in his fireplace.
Oh, that's interesting.
Eventually it was taken out of the fireplace and taken to Halifax to be studied at a university. So what we're seeing on the screen here right now, the top code was the code given to Reverend Kempton from the man who translated it at the university. And he has his translation, which says, I believe, something like 40 feet below 40 million pounds.
Right.
But the thing is that, and that's a symbol for letter code. It's
So one
very
for
simple.
one. So
Yes.
The X means the letter T, and this zero
Right.
means H or whatever. Okay.
And but what's strange about that code is there's one extra symbol in there that doesn't fit that code. So if you're going to accept that symbol, then that code doesn't work.
Okay.
But the second one down, this Kempton gave it to this other gentleman, and he had written a book about it, and he eliminated that symbol with the idea that it was a mistake, that whoever was chiseling this chiseled one downward triangle and then started chiseling
So if
another
it didn't
one.
fit, it didn't fit his story, just threw it out.
Yeah. So that's the code that a lot of people look at, and right below it is a reproduction that they have at the Oak Island Interpretive Center.
Okay.
The one big difference is that both on the Kempton code at the top and the Edward Snow code in the middle, the very last character, you can see it looks like a Roman numeral 2.
Right.
And it also appears right in the line above it. But on the modern reproduction, it appears as though it's a rectangle.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
But the fact that it is a Roman numeral 2 means a lot to my translation. And because the first two that we know of, translations or reproductions of it, show it as a Roman numeral 2.
Okay. Jim, let's hold on that for a minute, okay? So there may be people here that say, I don't even know what y'all are talking about, the Curse of Oak Island and stuff like that. So can you kind of just give us like a summary of what you think in your books, just a quick synopsis of what the story's about? I know that's a mouthful, but I mean, like an elevator speech. If you had just say, oh, it's about this, you know what I mean?
Well, there's a little island called Oak Island in a bay called Mahone Bay off the Atlantic side of Nova Scotia. And the story is that in 1795, a man named Daniel McGinnis found this 13-foot circular depression, and it got his curiosity up, and he got a couple of his friends. One of them was named John Smith, to start digging, and they dug down 30 feet. They got exhausted. There are rumors that they actually found some treasure in each one of those three families, Vaughn, McGinnis, and Smith. The biggest proof of that is the fact that John Smith bought the lot where they found the depression in 1795. And his deed for it actually exists. So we know that John Smith, where that stone was embedded in his fireplace, we know that he bought that lot in 1795. So they either got wore out or they found enough treasure to satisfy him, one or the other, and so it dwelled for a little while. But in 1803, a group called the Truro Group got together, and from Truro, Nova Scotia, and they got some money behind them, and they got some equipment for whatever kind of equipment there would be in 1804. And they started digging down. Now, every time they'd hit 10 foot, they'd find an oak platform. In some writings, they find some other type of platform, like a layer of clay or a layer of charcoal, but and even coconut fiber. But typically, it was every 10 foot there was some type of a marker. And if it was a mine or something like that, that would make sense, because that's how they would climb back out. 10 foot, they put a 10-foot ladder, climb to the next level, pull the ladder up. So they went down to 90 foot roughly, and they found this stone, and it was laying upside down at the bottom. So they pulled it out, and that was Friday. Well, that was Saturday. They found it on a Saturday. And Sunday was church, and they weren't going to work, So they took the stone somewhere, and they just left the site, went to church on Sunday, came back Monday morning to start working, and here the pit had flooded
Oh my gosh.
up to the 60-foot level. So there was 30 feet of unflooded pit. Well, that's plagued everybody ever since.
Yeah.
And they ran pumps with horses pumping them. They did everything, well, until they could get electric line over there to get electric pumps to pump it out. And they've been constantly fighting water and mud and collapses. In 1861, the bottom of that pit where they had dug to dropped, I think it was 14 foot. And so it became more and more muddled because of first of all, not knowing, hindsight's 20/20. You didn't know what was down there until you were digging it. And secondly, they didn't start out with the best equipment in the world.
Right.
So in more recent years, there was a big bulldozer dig there. There were a lot of drilling done. The Truro group actually did a lot of drilling. And now the current Oak Island team, they've put down these giant caissons. The latest ones were 10 foot wide,
Right.
10 foot circular. And then they will take a hammer grab that'll go in there and pull out whatever they can. And mostly they find wood, which a lot of people joke about, but the thing about it is the wood can be carbon dated.
Right. But there's been a series of tunnels looking for tunnels.
Right.
Yeah.
And yes, people would dig because they were afraid of collapsing the money pit further. They would dig shafts like 18 foot away to try to go down, come through the side, or maybe get down into a debris field. So the jury's out on whether it's just natural caverns underneath it or whether they're man-made caverns underneath it.
All right. I have a question. One of my viewers left on my webpage was she referred to everybody that's on the show as actors. They're not actors,
No,
right?
no.
This is reality TV. These are everyday people that have a bunch of money that want to look for treasure, more or less, right?
Yes, the deal, they were there for a number of years before Prometheus got involved, and their goal was just to go figure it out. Then Prometheus found out about it, and they made them an offer that we won't interfere with your dig as long as we can film it, and you don't interfere with how we present the dig on TV.
Okay.
So that's
They
their
have an agreement.
I don't know if it's a legal agreement or gentleman's agreement or what. And so there is no, as far as I know, I've been filmed for about 20 hours. I've
Whoa.
been there 6 times, I think. And I've been on the island about 12 different days. And they don't give you a script. And first of all, there's so many people involved that you'd have to have a team of script writers. You'd have to have 20 or 30
Okay.
script writers.
So this
and
is-
then when they work from daylight to nighttime, when would they study their scripts?
Right. So
To,
what you
know-
see is what you get.
Yes.
Okay. So then the next question I have for you is, you mentioned 1795 when Smith finds this depression, but your books really don't talk about 1795 forward. You're talking about 1795 backwards.
Most of the time, and this is the first book where I do delve into from 1795 forward because of the finding of the stone. The first part of the book, I do my best to verify that the stone did exist and what the code looked like.
Okay, I'm gonna give you some kudos here right now because I've been interested in this whole thing, and I've read a variety of books and done a lot of reading on the internet. And Jim, your work, and I've read I think almost all your books now, they all are research based. It's not just look at that thing there, that looks like such and such, so let's go talk about this group or the Templars or the Masons or the Portuguese, which is fine, but you've hooked everything together and you take us back to the 1600s, right?
Yes. And the thing about it is I always am looking at the big picture because, I'm sick, like a lot of people are, of these little one-liner things that don't really tell you anything. They state a person's sort of point of view, but if you are only focused on one little element, you're missing the big picture. And the big picture is the only way you're going to know what really happened there. And I know that Rick is of that opinion too. He believes that the story is in the story and in the history. And so because so much has been destroyed there already through the digging and all that, to me, it just felt to me like you need to tell the story that surrounds Oak Island to know potentially what happened there.
Okay,
and
true.
that's what all my other books did.
Okay, true or false? The Oak Island story is a collection of stories. In other words, you got the indigenous Indian tribe of the Micmacs that goes back, who knows, 1,000 years. Then you got your theory about the Scots and the British. And then we keep hearing things about Portuguese and French and this and that. But there's layers, because just like anywhere we live, people live, they die, somebody else comes in. Is that fair enough to say about Oak Island area?
Yes. And just to speak for a minute about the Indian artifact found, the First Nations, they prefer First Nations up there in Canada. That could be evidence that there was a community there, or it could be evidence that there was a trading post there, or that they were visiting. So, and unless somebody, an archaeologist or an archaeology team explores it, they're not going to know it, but that could be valuable information. And so determining which one it was, and it's the same way with Samuel Ball's lot. You know, there are so many aspects to this. It isn't just a wheel with a hub and spokes. It's like a spider web, and even my stuff is very spider webbish. And again, I'm one trail that they're going down.
But your trail is consistent. It's mid 1600s,
16,
right?
basically 1621 to 1632.
So now the things they're
basic
finding, is
story.
that backing up your story, your
Yes,
theories?
a lot of the, and I recount a number of them in the book, but a number of the carbon datings will fit my date. What's interesting is that on a recent show, they showed a part of a flintlock. Well, immediately I went to look up flintlocks, and the first true flintlock was not created till 1630, 2 years before my date of 1632. So the point of that really is that could not have been brought to the island before 1630.
Okay.
So if that was lost on the island by somebody that was bearing treasure, they buried it after the year 1630.
So if I'm hearing you right, what we see on TV, and this is not a criticism because it's TV, but it seems like it's a reaction to something they find and a guesstimate of what it is. In your book, you take that same piece of information and you research it and put it in its proper time frame.
See if it,
So
and
did I get
particularly
that right?
see if it, yes.
Because I want to be fair to the show, because I think people get a little bugged by it because they say, well, how can you make that quick statement? Well, I think they're just their best guess at that moment. Like Gary Drayton, when he finds something, he says, well, this looks like it's between such and such a date. But you're pinpointing it right down to a certain time.
And a lot of it with their help, because they're sending things out to get carbon dated, which is an expensive process. That's why the wood is so important.
Right.
But also, like they found a pair of shoes that just from actually they weren't a pair, they were two different sizes, but just because of the way they were constructed, it was obvious that they were before 1700. And like that one piece of treasure, I think I had
A garnet.
in it.
Right.
That the gemologist who looked at it stated that it was 400 to 500 years old. So I'm taking, sure, it might be selective recall. I'm picking the things that fit, but an awful lot of them fit.
Okay.
And, so if we could look at the frame that's the Egyptian, I think it's number 2.
Yeah, we want to get back to the stones now, but I wanted to put a little bit back onto this story here. Okay, so what are we looking at here?
This is a stone that was found from, I think, about 700 or 800 BC, but it was a curse stone that's carved, just like the 90-foot stone, and it was found in Egypt.
So for those that are listening right now on the radio, it looks like there's a winged sphere at the top, and then some characters like, I don't know, humans and people with, well, different looking faces, I guess. So and then some hieroglyphics below that, perhaps.
Right.
Okay.
And so this is an example of this was a stone that was purposely buried as a warning or a request to protect the property where it was buried.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you can skip to the next slide. This is another one that was found up in England. Now this was actually a personal curse against somebody who stole this gentleman's
I
girlfriend.
wonder how it worked out.
I don't know. But all of the tablets that were thrown in this particular well in England, there were 120 found, all were addressed, whether they were actually written on it or intentionally, they were addressed to a goddess. So again, we have
So that's sort of like a standard opening line, then.
right.
Okay.
Holy beings,
I call upon
God.
Thor, or I call
Right.
upon whatever.
So
Now, what language is this? This is written
this
in?
is Latin
Okay.
or Roman.
All right.
Latin, yes.
Okay.
So the idea that cursed stones or tablets, sometimes they were metal, sometimes they're stone, were buried is an absolute. It's known, and it was buried, and it was in many cultures. The fact that many of them began making a supplication to God is an absolute fact.
All right, I have a question now. I hadn't thought of this. All right, this is in Latin, and it's recognizable. The hieroglyphs are hieroglyphs, that's recognizable. But you said the stone from Oak Island is in code. So why would they put it in code? Why didn't they just write it in English or Latin or something?
Well, I don't know. I honestly don't know, and that's more research that needs to be done. But the code that I found, I found a couple sheets of it online, and then I started looking into it. I'm associated with a lot of historical institutions, particularly in Scotland, and I went through them all, and I went through so many people. It was over 3 months worth of emailing this person and emailing that, and they would suggest this person, and it was just crazy. And then finally somebody said, you're looking in the wrong place. You need to look at the British Museum.
Oh.
So I talked to them. They said, what you're looking for is at the National Archives of the UK. So I finally tracked it down. Where these few code sheets were found was in a group of 400 letters that were discovered when this famous person was arrested.
Who you will not name at this
Well,
time. You got to buy the book.
Well, it's not just about buying the book. I'm still under an NDA from Oak Island, and that will expire in a week or two because the shows are
Well,
almost
you can
over.
you can tell me. I won't tell anyone.
Yes.
Sure.
But I don't want to spill too many beans. I don't know that they're going to even use it because it is so late in the season, and I know this next episode, I believe, is going to be again about their trip to
Not
Portugal.
you.
So
Boo.
there's only one or two left, to talk about it. But I still want to respect the.
Of course.
And it actually, it does not say in the NDA that I can't publish my book, but I don't want to steal their thunder.
Right.
I don't want to, spoil the broth here. So I'm just holding off for a couple more weeks, and then the book's going to be available.
Okay. So I would classify you as a historical researcher.
Yes.
Fair enough. All right. So let's go into your books are basically in the 1620s, 30s, somewhere in there.
Yeah, the early
So
part of
during
it.
those times, what was life then? I mean, I remember reading in your books, it was sort of like you can't trust anybody.
Right.
So is that where these codes came from?
Yes, as a matter of fact, it was. They were secret codes being sent between supporters to keep this person of royalty safe.
Okay.
And so they obviously, to write complete letters, they needed a lot of symbols, And so I am prepared to reveal the first line of the
all right.
90-foot stone.
Would you say this is like a reveal for the first time ever?
Ever.
Okay,
Anywhere.
this is like internationally famous. Here we go. All right.
Well, the first line of the code, based on what I've been able to discover studying the code, is "O God, send angels." Now, that is in absolute keeping with all these, not all, but a good share of these other buried stones
And at the time, the historical time, this was a typical thing that someone would write on some of these curse stones?
well, they would request help, like the one that they just found in 2019. It said, "Cursed, cursed, cursed by God."
Mm-hmm.
Another one said, "I conjure up holy beings and holy names."
Mm-hmm.
So it was, they worded it in different ways, but in this particular way, it was worded, "O God, send angels."
It makes me think about that era, the 16, 15, 1700s, and the artwork. And there was always lots of angels, cherubs,
Yes.
and things. Am I right?
Yes.
So-
As a matter of fact, on the book that you helped me with before, and you can't see it so much here, but you're the one that pointed it out to me. There were angels all the way around this picture. There were four,
that's right,
four
yeah.
angels
Yeah.
around this picture.
So that was pretty typical then.
yeah.
Okay.
And I think by the word angels, I think they generally meant help, send help.
Okay.
So this is the cover of the new book,
All right.
and I love this door.
We have a picture of the book cover. We can pop that up, and then we're going to quick do this, and then we got a phone call. So what's the name of the book, Jim?
Oak Island Curses, Codes, and Secret Societies.
Ooh. So we talked about curses. We talked about codes. When we come back, we got to talk a little about secret societies.
Yes.
All right. We got a phone call. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Doc. Good morning, Joe. This is Linda Spalding. I can't wait to get your book. It sounds so exciting.
It is. It's a good book.
Now, where do I get it?
Well, it'll be on Amazon. It'll be available on Amazon probably within the next couple of weeks because that's when my NDA expires. And it's going to be at
Genres?
Genres Bookstore. I have some of my other books there right now that's down in Westfield.
Oh, yeah.
And it'll
Oh,
be
yeah.
available there, too, within a week or so.
So, Linda, do you watch the show at all? Or are you familiar with the Curse of Oak Island?
I'm not familiar with it, no.
Okay.
No.
Well, it is absolutely fascinating, and it will grab you and take you and won't let you go. Right, Jim?
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. There's so many interesting things, and there's so much history. Devin Taylor has written books, too, about history around here.
Right.
Yeah. He's published a number. Those are things that really I find so fascinating. I can't resist them. And I can't just get a library book and put it back. I have to purchase them.
Oh, I love them. Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. Fascinating. I wanted to mention that the Lions Club,
Okay.
Chautauqua, Chautauqua, Mayville, Westfield Lions Club, is going to be having a chicken barbecue on Thursday, May 12th at the American Legion,
Oh,
in Mayville.
just down the road here, yeah.
Yep, from 3 to 6 or until they run out of chickens. And let me tell you, they ran out of them last year, and they're absolutely delicious.
Awesome. All right,
Yeah, and the company that's doing it is from Eden, New York. It's called Wiedner Barbecue.
Okay, and that was May 12th?
May 12th on a Thursday.
Okay.
And I guess Thursday is a good night for the Legion, too, because a lot of people go to the Legion on Thursday.
Okay. Very
And
good.
tickets are available, and they're preferring pre-sale because they will be sold out, and they're only $13.
Okay, that seems to be the going price. All right, excellent.
Yep.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you again, and you call me and remind me next week, okay?
Oh, I'll be reminding you until I have the chicken.
All right, Lynn. You gotta get
Okay.
one of his books. They're awesome. Okay.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait.
Okay.
Thank you, and have a good
You
weekend.
too. Thanks, Lynn.
Bye.
All right. So we talked about curse stones. We talked about this code that you're not going to tell us who it is, but there's lots of codes. But secret societies, what's that all about?
Well, first, before I get to that, I just
Go
want to
ahead.
say one thing that I
Yeah.
thought about when during that phone call was that it is very addictive, and I think I will be the most prolific Oak Island book writer there is, because I've already written 8 books, and every time I say there's not going to be any more. But
Can't wait for the next
another Oak Island author, Randall Sullivan, I saw him on one of the old Curse of Oak Island shows, and he said the real curse of Oak Island is that once the island gets a hold of you, it doesn't let go. And that's so true, because it's hunting for treasure on an island.
We all, as kids, we all love that stuff growing up, right?
One day I said to Charles Barkhouse, I said, you seem like the happiest man in the world. And he said, well, why wouldn't I be? I hunt for treasure on an island every day of my life. But there's also the phenomenon that people love a mystery that they think is just about to be solved, because you go through life with all kinds of mysteries, but if it's a big mystery and it's almost going to be solved, and I think it's very similar to why people read like a fiction book, a detective book, watch a movie, watch a sporting event. They it's a big mystery, who's going to win, and then they get a conclusion.
It's
to
the
it.
hunt.
So,
it's not finding the thing. It's
Yeah.
the hunt. Is the process. Is the fun part.
and they call it islanditis up there, which I have. But
I got the feeling.
so the secret society aspect of this is that on the stone there was the code for a certain person. It was on there twice, and his son's name, the code for his son's name, was on there twice. And I'm going to ask your producer here to flash the picture of the gentleman
All right.
real quick.
All right.
But I'm
Flash
not
out
going
there.
to reveal names.
All right. You can tell me later. All right.
Yeah.
There he is.
That's long enough.
all right. You can take it away.
That gentleman, he is tied to so many people, even Sir Francis Bacon. But the rub is that he was the Scottish master of masons at the time that I think that stone was put in the money pit, and the stone has the symbol for the Scottish master of mason on it 3 times. So now you have, I think it is the most direct proof that the Freemasons, or pre-Freemasons possibly, built the money pit, or were responsible for it, and that might be why they've taken such an interest about it all these years.
And these guys are all connected to the group that you have written about, the Knights
Yes.
Baronet.
Yes.
That were all part of the founding of Nova Scotia. Because that's your whole story, right?
Right. And it was all backed by the kings. It was, Nova Scotia was given to this man, Sir William Alexander, by King James, but then he passed away the same year that he approved the Knights Baronet. He passed away, so his son took over, and he actually knighted all of the Knights Baronet until his beheading several years later. So these weren't just some fluffy guys that were in a club like the Lions Club or something like that. These were people working for the king, working with the king. A lot of them were clan chieftains that had maybe 5,000 people under them and owned big chunks of Scotland. You had to have, it appears there's so many different ways to translate money from the time to currently, but what they had to pay to become a Knight Baronet could have been as much as $500,000.
Okay, Jim, I got to tell you, we've got $500,000 left.
Oh.
So, so where do you get a hold of this book?
It's going to be on Amazon. It's all ready to go. It's going to be, I'm going to hit the publish button in about probably 2 weeks. And then it will also be down at Genres. And it's a pretty darn neat book. It ties in the Freemasons. It ties in the whole, my theory about Oak Island. And this coding is just phenomenal. Took me 3 months to find it, probably a month to sort it out.
Okay, now you can just whisper real quick, where's the treasure? Folks, it has been an absolute pleasure of talking with Jim McQuiston today, who's he's local. He lives here in our area, and he has written 8 books on the curse of Oak Island. Please keep an eye out for Oak Island curses, codes, and secret societies, okay? And Jim, come back when you write your next book, and we'll talk more. Thanks a lot for coming by. Good
Thank
luck
you.
to you.
Bye-bye.
I was really...